Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Basic English Grammar. In this episode we are going to talk about the present simple. Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Basic English Grammar. Whatever your native tongue is, whatever your native language is, you can ask a question and you will get the answer. أيا كانت لغتك، يمكنك أن تطرح سؤالا وستجد الإجابة. Now let's start. How we form the present simple. The present simple is formed by using the first form of the verb. We have some examples. She walks. For the first person, the singular, for example, we say, I woke. For the plural, we say, for example, we woke. The second person, you woke, singular, and for plural, you woke. So we use the first form of the verb. For the third person, we say, she walks, he walks, it walks. For singular, third person. For plural, third person, we say, they walk. Let's have another example. I eat lunch every afternoon. We can change every afternoon, which is a frequency expression, with any of these times. I eat lunch every Monday, I eat lunch every Tuesday, I eat lunch every Wednesday, I eat lunch every Thursday, I eat lunch every Friday, I eat lunch every Saturday, I eat lunch every Sunday. Max drives to work every day. So we can replace every day with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. We get up every morning. Kelly calls Mimi every weekend. What we talk about in these sentences is our routine or habits. So the present simple is used to talk about habits or usual activities that are repeated from time to time or frequently. Let's have these examples. We television every day. We watch television every day. He television every day. He watches television every day. Notice the change to the verb with he. We added es to the verb. We are going to explain this later. We lunch at 12 p.m. We eat lunch at 12 p.m. Jara a walk in the morning. Jara takes a walk in the morning. My friend a horse every day. My friend rides her horse every day. Let's talk about using the frequency adverbs like always, usually, often, sometimes, seldom, rarely, and never. They always drink tea with lunch. Always shows that the action takes place 100% at a certain time. Mary always eats lunch at school. Mary usually eats lunch at school. Usually expresses how often this happens, about 90 to 99%. Josh often eats hamburgers. Often shows that it's about 75 to 90% the action happens. Tia sometimes eats lunch at school. Sometimes express about 20% to 75% the action happens. Tia seldom eats lunch at school. With seldom, the action doesn't repeat for too many times. It's about 5 to 10%. Eva rarely washes her car. Rarely expresses 1 to 10%. Jay never goes to the zoo. As we see, never shows that the action does not happen at all. These are the frequency adverbs used with the present simple. And of course, there are frequency expressions we are going to talk about. Let's practice with the frequency adverbs. Talia feeds her dog. How often does Talia feed her dog? Talia always feeds her dog. We see that she feeds her dog every day. So how often does she feed her dog? She always feeds her dog. Jara watches TV. How often does she watch TV? She only watches TV on Saturday. Jara seldom watches TV. Luke cooks dinner. You see, how often does he cook dinner? Luke usually cooks dinner. Musat cooks dinner. It's only 4 times a week. Musat sometimes cooks dinner. Let's talk about other frequency expressions. She goes to the library once a week. So once a week is a frequency expression. She goes to the library once a week. It's only once. She goes to the library twice a week. So how often does she go to the library? Twice a week. She goes to the library 5 times a week. How often does she go to the library? 5 times a week. I go to school 5 times a week. I go to the movies twice a month. I go to the beach once a year. These are frequency expressions. 5 times a week, twice a month, once a year, and so on. I go to school 5 times a week. I go to the movies twice a month. I go to the beach once a year. I feed my dog every morning. I ride my horse every week. I wash my car every year. Notice that every is singular, and the noun that comes after every should be singular. So this is not correct. Instead of saying every weeks, we have to say every week. Let's practice with the frequency expressions. How often? How often is the question that asks about the repetition of an action. How often do you drink coffee? Every morning. Every morning is the frequency expression that tells how many times this action happens. So you drink coffee? Yes. So you always drink coffee? May doesn't drink coffee. I know. She drinks coffee. She does not drink coffee. So what frequency adverb is suitable here? She never drinks coffee. She never drinks coffee. Does Dr. Abud take a walk every day? No. He walks 5 or 6 days a week. 5 or 6 times a week? Yes, he takes a walk. He often takes a walk. Let's use the frequency adverbs with be. Jeff is always dirty. Notice how we use the frequency adverb with verb to be. We use the subject, Jeff, for example, and we use verb to be, Jeff is, and then comes the frequency adverb. So the frequency adverb always comes after verb to be, not before it. Jeff is usually dirty. Jeff is often dirty. Jeff is sometimes dirty. Jeff is seldom dirty. Jeff is rarely dirty. Jeff is never dirty. Remember, the frequency adverb comes after verb to be. Let's use the frequency adverbs with main verbs in the sentence. We have the subject, Sergio. We have the frequency adverb, and we have the main verb. So the frequency adverb comes before the main verb, but if it's verb to be, the frequency adverb comes after verb to be. Sergio usually rides a bike. Sergio often rides a bike. Sergio sometimes rides a bike. Sergio seldom rides a bike. Sergio rarely rides a bike. Sergio never rides a bike. Remember, the frequency adverb comes before the main verb, except if it's verb to be. Let's practice. He is tired. How often is he tired? He's usually tired. He's usually tired. Jeff is sad. Jeff is never sad. Notice verb to be and the frequency adverb. Jeff is never sad. Lucy reads at the library. Lucy often reads at the library. Notice that the frequency adverb comes before the main verb. Lucy often reads at the library. It rains in the desert. Actually, it rarely rains in the desert. Gerardo teaches math. Let's see what happens to the verb endings when it goes with the third person, he, she, or it. Notice the verb push ends with sh, so we add es to the verb and we pronounce the es as pushes. The verb teach ends in ch and we add es to the verb with he, she, or it. And it's pronounced is. Teaches. The verb kiss ends in ss. We add es to the verb and it's pronounced as kisses. The verb fix ends in x and we add es to the verb with he, she, or it and it's pronounced as fixes. So these endings make us add es to the verb with the third person, he, she, or it. Let's practice. Seung never his TV program. Miss, notice the verb ends in ss, so we need to add, you are right, we need to add es. So Seung never misses his TV program. Gerardo teach math. Teach ends in ch, so we need to add es. Gerardo teaches math. Gerardo teaches math. You're right. Victor always wash his car. The verb wash ends in sh, so we need to add es to the verb with the third person. Victor always washes his car. Eddie usually mixes sugar in his coffee. The verb mix ends in x. Eddie usually mixes sugar in his coffee. Let's add s or es to the verb that ends in y. The baby cries a lot. The baby cries a lot. The verb cry ends in y, preceded by the consonant. In this case, we change the y into I and add es to the verb with he, she, or it. The verb fly ends in y, preceded by a consonant, L. So we change the y into I and add es. Flies. So if the verb is ending in y, preceded by a consonant, we change the y to I before we add es to the verb. But notice this verb, pay. It ends in y, but it is preceded by a vowel. What happens? We just add s, not es, because the y is preceded by a vowel. Enjoy. The same thing with the verb enjoy. We add s, not es, because the y is preceded by a vowel. So verbs that end in y, preceded by a vowel, just take s with he, she, or it in the present simple. Let's practice. Jazzy, too many things. Of course, we are going to use the frequency adverb and the main verb. In this case, the frequency adverb comes before the main verb. So the sentence becomes, Gezi often buys too many things. She always says nice things. She always says nice things. we have the frequency adverb followed by the main verb. She always says some nice things. Her father, yes, you are right, often worries about her. You are right. You changed the Y into I because it is preceded by a consonant, and we added es to the verb because it belongs to the third person. Her father often worries about her. The man has a brown coat. The man has a brown coat. How can we use have, do, and go with the present simple? I have a hat. She has a hat. Notice that with third person, he, she, and it, we don't use have, we use has. So he, she, and it take has, not have. I do exercise. He does exercise. With he, she, and it, we use does, not do. We go to the gym. He goes to the gym. With she, he, and it, we use goes, not go. Remember that we can talk about verbs that end in O as verbs that need to have es at the end of the verb with he, she, or it. Remember, have becomes has with he, she, or it. Do becomes does with he, she, or it. And go becomes goes with he, she, or it. Day. Is it do or does? You are right. George does yoga every day. Sudi, for a walk on Sunday. You are perfect. Sudi goes for a walk on Sunday. She always. That's correct. She always has homework. She runs 6 miles every day. Let's see the pronunciation with the final S or ES. Run. Runs. Notice that we pronounce the S as Z. Runs. Rain. Rains. Scrub. Scrubs. Scrub, scrubs. Love, loves. Sing, sings. Notice how we pronounce this sound? Sings. Meet, meets. Fight, fights. Cough, coughs. Notice that we pronounce it as s. Push, pushes. Watch, watches. Miss, misses. Tax, taxes. The verbs ending in sh, ch, ss, x take es and we pronounce the es as z. Pushes, watches, misses, taxes. Let's see the pronunciation of the verb dry with es. Remember that we changed the y into I because it's preceded by a consonant and added es, dries, studies. The consonant before the y at the end of the verb. Pay, pays, pays. Remember, we don't say it pays, pays. It's not pays, pays. Buy, buys. There's a vowel before the y. Z. The S is pronounced as z. Have, has, go, goes, do, does. Has, goes, does. Push. Mark his bike up the hill every afternoon. You are right. Pushes. Mark pushes his bike up the hill every afternoon. The child his teeth every morning. That's correct. The child brushes his teeth every morning. Dream. Brenda often about her old home. Brenda often dreams about her old home. Let's see the negative form in the present simple. They don't wash their car. I don't drink milk. I do not. We do not drink milk. You do not drink milk. They do not drink milk. With I, we, you, or they, we use do not before the main verb to make the negative. She does not drink milk. He does not drink milk. It does not drink milk. With he, she, and it, we use does not before the main verb to make the negative. I do not drink milk. She does not drink milk. Do and does are auxiliary verbs or helping verbs. She does not drink milk. Is it correct? You are right. This is not correct. She does not drink milk. Because when we have does in the sentence, we don't add s or es to the main verb. I don't drink milk. They don't go to the lake. I do not. This is the contracted form. I don't. They do not. The contracted form of do not is don't. He doesn't drink milk. Jack doesn't like dogs. The contracted form of does not, doesn't. Let's practice. This child, you're right, doesn't smile. We, not like, we need the auxiliary verb. We don't like snakes. We don't like snakes. Magda, touch, speak, not. Magda, this is a singular third person, she. Magda, of course, you are right. Magda doesn't speak Dutch. Don't or doesn't, feed, jump, run, speak. Sometimes I don't feed my cat. Sometimes I don't feed my cat. My husband feeds her. Notice that we add s to the verb feed because it belongs to a third person. She doesn't run fast at the gym. Remember that when we have does in the sentence, we remove the s or es from the verb. She doesn't run fast at the gym. She gets tired. They are good cooks. They perfect. They don't need help. They don't need help. Let's see the yes/no questions with the present simple. Does he exercise? We use do or does, followed by the subject and the main verb. Do I like salad? Do I like salad? Do you like salad? Remember, it's the auxiliary verb, do or does, the subject, the main verb, to make the question. Do we like salad? Do they like salad? Do they like salad? Remember, with the third person, she, he, or it, we use does. Does she? But notice the pronunciation of these two words. Does she? Does she? Does she? We do not pronounce the is. Does she? Does she like salad? Does he like salad? Does it look good? But here, are you a student? Remember that we use do or does when there is an action verb in the sentence. But when there is not an action verb in the sentence, we use other verbs. So, do you be a student? This is not correct, because the main verb, the form of verb to be, we don't need do. Do you like ice cream? What is the short answer? Yes, I do. Oh no, I don't. Remember, this is the contracted form. Does Max like ice cream? Notice, does like. The short answer should be yes, he does, or no, he doesn't. Let's practice here. I like to ride horses. Before we go to the question and the short answer, I'd like to give you a note on like to. We use like to talk about things in general, but not a specific situation. If we are talking about a specific situation, we have to use the gerund, the verb plus ing. Sorry. I like to ride horses. What is the question? We have the main verb. We need the auxiliary do. Do you like to ride horses? Yes, I do. The other question. Let's read the sentence. They have a baby. What is the question? Of course, we have the main verb here, have. Do they have a baby? Yes, they do. Gerardo teaches math. Remember that the verb teach has an extra es because it belongs to the third person, Gerardo or he. So the question starts with does Gerardo teach math? And notice that when we use does, we remove the es from the verb. Yes, he does. This is the short answer. Oh yes, Gerardo teaches math. Cows don't bark. What's bark? It's the sound that dogs make. The question starts with do cows bark? Do cows bark? Do cows bark? No, they don't. This is the contracted form. No, they don't. Let's use the present simple with question words. The question word here is where. This question word asks about places. Where do they live? We use the question word to make a question if a piece of information is missing. We don't know the place where they live, so we ask using the question word where. But if we know or think there is some piece of information which we want to make sure it's true or not, we use the question with the auxiliary verb. Do they live in Baltimore? That's why we call this type of question yes/no question, because it either confirms the information or denies it. Do they live in Baltimore? Of course, we have all the information here, and we need to make sure it is yes or no. Yes, they do, or no, they don't. Where do they live? In Baltimore. So, you see the question word followed by the auxiliary verb, because we have a main verb here, who's to ask about an action verb. Where do they live? In Baltimore. Or we can say they live in Baltimore. Does Alex live in Moscow? Does Alex live in Moscow? Yes, he does. Oh no, he doesn't. Where does he live? Where does he live? Notice that does comes after the question word because it belongs to the third person he. Where does he live? In Cape Town. In this sentence, we can give a long answer saying he lives in Cape Town. He lives in Cape Town. Let's see the structure of the auxiliary question, the yes-no question, and the question with do or does. Do in Baltimore? Where do? We need the subject. Do they in Baltimore? Where do they? And we use the main verb. Do they live in Baltimore? Where do they live? Remember, we use the question with auxiliary verbs if we have some information we want to make sure they are true or false. And we use questions with question words if we need some information which is missing. Does Alex live in Moscow? Where does he live? Let's practice here. We have the answer. Yes, he does. The information we have, the child has a toothbrush. So we want to ask whether the child has a toothbrush or not. So it's does the child to have, because we have does in the question. Does the child have a toothbrush? The answer is in the bathroom. He brushes his teeth in the bathroom. So we need to make a question with a question word. Where does he brush his teeth? Another sentence. Yes, she does. Remember that whenever we have the sound s before sh, we don't pronounce that sound. Yes, she. Yes, she. Yes, she. Yes, she does. The information is Lucy likes to read at the library. The question, does Lucy like to read in the library? Remember, we use does. We remove the s from the verb. Lucy likes. Does Lucy like? Let's have another type of question. When or what time? Because when and what time both are interchangeable. We can use either of them in the place of the other. When do you go shopping? What time do you go shopping? We use the question word, we use the auxiliary verb. After the question word, we use the subject and the main verb to make the question. So it's when do you go to work? When do you go to work? When do you? When do you? We say when do you? When do you? This is the correct pronunciation. When do you go? When do you go to work? Notice that we slightly pronounce the t. When do you go to work? T, not to. When do you go to work? T, not to. At 8 o'clock. So the answer is at 8 o'clock. This is the short answer. I go to work at 8 o'clock. But I can ask the same question using what time? What time do you go to work? What time do you go to work? Remember, do you, to, not to. What time do you go to work? At 8 o'clock. When does he exercise? When does he exercise? When does he exercise? At 10 o'clock. What time does he exercise? At 10 o'clock. What time do you usually go to class? What time do you usually go to class? Notice the use of the frequency adverb. It comes after the subject, before the main verb. What time do you usually go to class? So we have the subject, the frequency adverb, and the main verb. Let's practice. The answer here, the pool closes at 6 p.m. Notice the pool closes. We add s to the verb. So we need to ask using does. But we ask about the time. So it's what time or when. When does the pool close? And when we use does, remember to remove the extra s or es from the verb. Close, not closes, because we have does in the sentence. I eat lunch at 12 p.m. Do you eat lunch? We need to know about this time. When or what time do you eat lunch? What time do you eat lunch? When do you eat lunch? I usually go to bed at 11. I usually go to bed at 11. Notice the use of the frequency adverb. It goes before the main verb. I need to know about the time. To me, this is some missing information. The question would be, when do you usually go to bed? Or what time do you usually go to bed? Notice the use of the frequency adverb. It comes before the main verb. Where is Botswana? Where is Botswana? The long answer, Botswana is in Africa. Botswana is in Africa. The short answer can be in Africa. Where are your gloves? Where are your gloves? We can use the short answer, at home. But we use the wrong answer, they are at home. They refers to gloves. They are at home. Where are your gloves? They are at home. At home. When is lunch? When is lunch? Lunch is at noon. We can say at noon as a short answer, but it's okay to use long answers. What's your name? What's your name? My name is Uma. I can say Uma, but the long answer can be my name is Uma. What time is the movie? And be careful with this sentence. Be careful with this question. What time is the movie? I'm asking about something that will happen, that's going to happen in the future. So it's a plan. The movie is at 5. So the time 5 is future. But why do we use the present simple to talk about the future? It's a timetable. When we talk about timetables or scheduled events, we use the present simple. We don't use future. We use the present simple to express the future of scheduled plans. Where does she? Remember, the pronunciation of does before she. Where does she? Where does she live? Where does she live? She lives in Belgium. Notice we add s to the verb in the sentence because we have does in the question. She lives in Belgium. The short answer can be in Belgium. What time does school start? Notice the pronunciation of does with the word school because this ends with z and school starts with the sound s. So this sound disappears. What time does school start? What time does school start? It starts. It starts at 9 a.m. It starts at 9 a.m. What does she play? What does she play? What does she play? Tennis. She plays tennis. She plays tennis. Notice that we add s to the verb play. When do you study? When do you study? I study at night. Of course, we can use short answers in these sentences instead of long answers. In Belgium, at 9 a.m., tennis at night. Let's practice. Where they buy food. Of course, we ask about a main verb, an action verb, so we need do or does, but the subject is they, which takes, you are correct, do. Where do they buy food? What time the train leave? Remember, we talk about, that's correct, we talk about timetables. What time does the train leave? When your test. In this question, there is not a main verb. So we need either is or are. But what is the noun here? Yes, singular. When is your test? What are the names? Also, we don't have any main verb here, and we ask about plural nouns, so it's what are the names? What are the names? Thank you for watching.